Hello, everyone. This is Bill Apter, and I just finished taping an episode of Count It Out with Mike and Tyler, or Tyler and Mike. They're brilliant hosts. You've got to listen. You've got to see. Count It Out. Yeah, I endorse it. They've got the After Chat seal of approval.
Are you listening? I'm listening. You got to be listening. And if you aren't listening, you should be listening. But by the time you're hearing this voice, this sweet, sultry voice, I know you're listening. This is Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. And if I'm listening and you're hearing this voice, that means you're listening to Tyson Dukes, the wrestling machine, also known as Textbook, a long time ago, known for his role as the friggin' Muay Thai kid. You better be listening, because I will be.
People walk around the world and keep your hands to yourself. To the point, 'cause you know.
Well, we are live, pals. Welcome to the Bill Apter Seal of Approved. Count It Out with who? Mike and Tyler. That's us.
Wonderful Willie. What?
We are feeling good tonight. Rare time. We record this on a Monday night. Rare time that I've been off on a Monday night. So full disclosure, it's been a great day. I've done some work for our year-end show, the two-parter, which we'll talk about maybe next week. Talking to some very special guests to help us count down some of the best moments of the year. I've had some Jack Daniels. We may have recorded a couple episodes of Showtime in advance. Normally I'm drunk for Showtime. Today I'm drunk for Count It Out. Let's go.
I love it. Yeah, I'm glad you're having a good day. I'm tired as fuck. When I found out you were going to be you were going to be off today, I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. We could start recording at like 9 and be done early and not be recording at 2:00 in the fucking morning. No, not the case. I'm an idiot. Well, I'm not an idiot. I just I just had a hard day. A lot went on today, so we still didn't even get started till after 11 o'clock. I'll take, out of all the hard shit though, out of all the crap that went on today, I'll take one funny little story. And I shared it on my Facebook, and I'll share it here too because it's funny to me. We here in Central Ontario, I guess we are in the Toronto area. Is that what we're called? Central Ontario?
I'm in Northern Ontario.
You are not in Northern Ontario.
I'm like right there.
Northern Ontario starts North Bay.
No, North Bay is a shithole.
You're a piece of shit.
I'm just kidding. I just said that to make you bad. I love North
That's why
Bay.
they're called the gateway to the north, you dildo.
No, I'm saying that it starts in Barrie. I'm in a snow belt, so fuck it. I'm taking a win.
You're not in Northern Ontario. You're fucking 20 minutes north of me, you piece of shit.
I have snow up to my ankles. It's terrible.
Anyways, it snowed all day and all night last night and all day today. So I strapped my 3-year-old into his snow suit for the first time this year and went for a good walk. My kid, he has a lot of these little characters he makes up in his head. He's very creative. Some days he's Detective Finney, and the other days he's Professor Finney, or he's Dr. Finney.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, lately he's been Explorer Finney, and he likes to go on treasure hunts. So he's like crawling through the snowbanks and shit. And he goes, "Daddy, I found a treasure." I'm thinking he found a piece of ice or something like that. I'm like, "Oh yeah." I said, "What'd you find?" He goes, "Gold." I said, "You found gold?" I look over. Dude's right in front of this big mound of yellow snow.
Oh my God. I love it. I love that. It's funny. We have a similar character. He likes to play Dr. Finney. I always like try to be Dr. Tyler, but my girlfriend just tells me to go back to sleep. So
it's because of the time she woke up in a bathtub missing her spleen.
Well, I like to drink. I don't know. We got a lot.
Before I get into my discussion topics this week, tell listeners, what do we have in store from you on this fine episode of Count It Out?
So this is one that I've been working on for a few months, actually. As you guys know, if anybody ever listens to our show, at least, you know that we've sponsored a tournament. We are proud sponsors of the Barrie Wrestling All Ontario Cup tournament.
Which is coming to a head. Well, it'll be over by the time you listen to this, right?
No. we dropped the show on Thursday. The finals are on Saturday.
On Saturday. Right.
Counted out. The counted out block is going to be represented in the finals. We have made it to the finals. We are backing up Clutch Jesse V, who I'm not just saying this because he's in the tournament, but like this guy,
he's a force, man.
Man, I could see him being on NXT. I could see him being on AEW.
We were at the first show that we presented ourselves as counted out. It was Jesse P versus Travis Moore, and I love Travis. Okay, and anybody who knows me knows that I love me some Travis Moore. But anybody who knows Travis knows he's a small dude. Jesse's not. Jesse fucked Travis up.
Yeah, Jesse for anyone that
he
has never
tossed him in the air like a pizza.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, I've never seen anything like that in my life before. For anyone that's never seen or heard of Jesse V, look him up. He is built like Warlord, not War. Yeah, I guess Warlord, but Wardlow. He's a huge like Bronson Baker. What's the guy's name in NXT? Steiner's kid, Braun Breaker or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he's jacked, but he's so agile. I was just watching one of his matches.
Agile. He's got charisma.
He hit a Pele kick off somebody standing on the second rope.
I know.
He's crazy. No, he's awesome.
He's the full package. He's got everything he needs to succeed in this business. We're going to see big things from him in the future. I know it, and I'm so proud to say that we're seeing him on the ground floor.
Yeah, and so he's going to be taking on Black Lavender, Lionel Knight, coming out of our good friends bracket, Wrestling on the Rise. So I can't wait. A little friendly rivalry going on there.
Who, let's be honest, man, is one of the biggest stars in the indie scene.
He's so good. So little friendly competition. Maybe we'll have to make a little wager with Wrestling on the Rise to see who can take down the trophy. So being a sponsor of this tournament inspired me. I'm going to do a top 7. My favorite tournaments of all time. The only criteria for it is that the tournaments had to have happened over a one night period. It has to be a one night tournament. It cannot be spread out over multiple weeks.
No G1s.
Yeah. So no G1s, no, most of the Crockett Cups are off the table.
Most WWE tournaments from the last 20 years are out.
Yeah, but I did my research here. I think you're going to be pretty happy with it.
Okay. I'm excited because I couldn't even begin to know where to start with this. I didn't even bother researching this week because I don't know.
This is hard.
Man, it's a hard one. So
it was hard.
I'm looking forward to you enlightening me in the world of tournaments here.
I know you got a couple things you want to talk about before we get to that, and then we're going to do our little discussion that we always do. So why don't you take it over here? What do we got going on?
All right, I got two things. Let's start with the world of AEW. Your the world that you know more than me about right now, because I have a question for you.
Okay.
So Kenny Omega obviously is no longer champion, and he's out with injury indefinitely for quite a while.
Yeah.
With him gone, I have a question. What is going on and what happens to Don Callis?
Ooh.
The main reason I'm asking, because when this whole thing started, he was basically on loan from TNA or from Impact. So where does that lie? Is he contracted with AEW? Is he contracted with Impact? What do you know anything here?
He left Impact. I know he left it. He stepped down from his role.
Okay.
He stepped down from his role in Impact. I don't know if he signed an AEW contract. I don't know if he was just with Kenny.
So let's say for devil's advocate purposes, let's say he is signed to AEW.
Okay.
What do you do with him now? Do you keep him off TV till Kenny gets back? Do you give him somebody else? Do you keep him around just to keep Kenny relevant? What do you do? I
put him with somebody new, and I have Kenny come back as a babyface and feud with them.
So isn't that not a little too close to what they're doing with the Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar situation?
No, I wouldn't. I would book that differently. I would, because Heyman's playing a tweener. You know what I mean? Yeah. I would have Callis kind of talk down to Kenny a little bit.
Okay.
He's got his new protege, and I would have him be like, you're not going to get hurt like Kenny did. Like I wouldn't have him like bury Kenny, but I'd have him make these little jabs. You know what I mean? And
All right, well,
I would have Kenny come back as a baby face, and I would have Callis be like, "Oh, Kenny, you're back," and Kenny be like, "Fuck you, I'm going to take you down."
well, okay. Well, if
I
you
don't
put
I don't want Kenny to come back as in the title picture right away. I'd like him to kind of have a feud before that.
So, what if you put Callis with Dragon?
I was thinking that at first. That was the first name that came to my head, but I just think that what Dragon's doing is so good right now. I think it's a waste of both of them. I think it takes away from what Dragon's already doing. This stuff, his promo work is out of the world right now. I feel like you could maybe use Don to build somebody else. Not that this guy would be a name that I would pick right away, but I'm thinking of like a guy like Ricky Starks, who's with Team Taz, or who's one of the pillar guys that are maybe getting left in the dark right now. Maybe you turn Jungle Boy heel and you put him with Jungle Boy. Maybe you I would put him with somebody a little bit younger, like a guy that's like,
do that.
I put him with Sammy.
Sammy's great. I think that is the way to go right there. I think Sammy would be a good one. If you were gonna tear apart Jurassic Express, if I'm turning somebody heel, I think I'm doing it to Luchasaurus.
Yeah, that's fair. I just don't I don't see Callis and Luchasaurus gelling together. That's a weird mix for me. That gimmick is. Is there any other prominent Canadians? Because that was the connection between Don and Kenny in the first place. They knew each other from Winnipeg. They knew each other because of the Canadian connection. Is there any other prominent Canadians in AEW that could make that work? I don't know off the top of my head. I just had another name that came to my mind, not a Canadian, but they've already been teasing the dissension here. What about Adam Cole?
Yeah,
you could have Callis kind of be the guy that brings, there's a lot of rumors Kyle O'Reilly might be coming over. His contract's almost over. Maybe Cole puts Undisputed Era.
Fish as well. I heard
Fish is already there. Bobby Fish is there.
Fish officially there? Yeah.
Oh, he's been there for like a month now. And him and Cole are already teaming together on TV. They just fought Jurassic Express last week.
Oh, okay. I thought Cole was doing this like super click thing.
He is, but they're teasing dissension already. Okay. There's a whole long story that I have to explain to you about how they killed Adam Cole by drinking. Yeah, I'll have to talk to you off air about that one. That's,
all right.
That's a long story that we don't need to get into right now. But yeah, I would go with Adam Cole. That's my pick. I would say Adam Cole. Let's get Undisputed Era versus the Elite.
Okay, my second point, my question for you, comes from something that started, a conversation that really started when the second to last round of releases started going. When Frankie Monet, aka Taya Valkyrie, got released. Apparently, rumor has it that the reason given to Taya Valkyrie for her release was that they want to go in a direction of hiring younger women, and they don't want people over a certain age. And now I'm seeing online, there was, you ever heard of the angry wrestling vet?
No.
He's just this douchebag that goes online and starts this conversation.
I have heard of this actually. Yeah.
He came out with this big thing this week saying that nobody over the age of 40 has any business wrestling.
That's stupid.
So my question to you is, I think we can both admit that that's horseshit. Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
But is there validity to a company putting an age limit on wrestlers? And is there a validity to a certain, maybe not 40, but a certain cutoff point of being like, okay, that person, we need to stop this at a certain age? I mean, we have right now, the biggest news of the week is Ric Flair wants to come back, fight Sammy Guevara, and he doesn't care if he dies in the ring.
He also said he wanted $100,000 to do it.
Should it be a wrestler by wrestler situation where, hey, if he can go, I don't care if he's 20, if he's 90, if he can go, he can go? Or should it be, no, I'm in my company, I cannot hire anybody over the age of 50?
This is my weird comparison that I'm going to go with here. I think you need to treat it like you treat people with driver's license.
but I don't agree with the way they do that. So.
Okay, well, you know what I mean. If you can get in there,
my grandmother was in her 80s and had Parkinson's and still had her fucking license.
well, maybe you make better tests. Obviously, you strengthen the tests a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you can age gap people, especially like to me when you hit 40, you do your smartest and best work. So you're telling me that AJ
Styles is prime example right now.
Edge.
How old was Diamond Dallas Page when he started wrestling?
He's almost 40.
And that's when he started his career. You can't be, people can't be telling me that, cut it off at 40. Now, in the case of Frankie Monet, what is she, like 35?
I couldn't tell you, but even if she was 45, who gives a shit? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
She is phenomenal in the ring. And if they're making that rule for women and not men, someone's got to go say something there. Someone's got to do something about that, because that's bullshit. That is sexism.
I've never heard. I didn't hear this, so this is new to me. I haven't heard any of this.
Frankie Monet or Ty Valkyrie, whatever you want to call her, came out with a large tweet about it a few weeks ago.
Okay, I know Mickey James felt the same way as well. I know
Mickey James has been dealing with that for a long time, not just from WWE, but from like fans, from co-workers, which is ridiculous and sad, because Mickey James to this day is still one of the best workers out there.
I think that I'm going to throw a name out here right now. Ricky Morton. Ricky Morton.
Still go.
Oh, he's so good. He's throwing Canadian destroyers right now.
I don't think I'd be booking Ricky every week, to be perfectly honest.
No, you don't need, but that's on you as a promoter to not be an idiot and book smart.
Well, listen, if I was running, if my name is Sean Gibson and I'm running Barrie Wrestling next week, I'd have no problem bringing in a guy like Action Mike Jackson, who's 72 years old.
Absolutely.
If he can pass a physical, then why the fuck not?
Yeah,
why the fuck not? So for anybody to say once you're over an age, then you shouldn't do it anymore. Yes, 100%. When we were coming up, when we were young, watching the business, it was rare to see somebody over the age of 40.
I don't agree with that at all.
Everyone
was old back in the day
in a full-time capacity. No, and I'm talking like the 90s, and from New Generation to Ruthless Aggression. Everybody was in their 20s and 30s.
Yeah. You need veterans to make your younger guys better.
Yeah.
You need to have them in the dressing room. You need to be able to work with these guys. I don't give a shit. If you tell me because AJ Styles is in his, early to mid 40s, he's got to hang it up. You're an idiot. Don't talk to me. I don't want to hear your opinion. You're a moron.
So I guess this brings the final question. Do you, as a fan of the man, as a fan of the business, as a fan of just things in general, do you have any interest at all in seeing Sammy Guevara versus Ric Flair?
No, I don't have any interest to see that. Do you
have any interest in seeing Ric Flair ever wrestle again?
Maybe in a 6-man tag.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Flair go one-on-one.
No,
especially after the health issues that he's had. I don't want to see him go one-on-one. Do I want to see him put a robe on, walk down to the ring, sit on the apron, woo, 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 get a hot tag, couple chops, and a figure 4? Absolutely. Absolutely, I do.
Flair's Zack Ryder now.
Woo, woo, woo. But I don't want to see Flair go one-on-one, but especially against Sammy Guevara. If Flair's going to get back in the ring, I want him to get back in the ring with a guy that is seasoned. Flair can't work with Sammy right now because Sammy, as good as he is in the ring,
seasoned how?
Like Jericho.
Okay, I was going to say because if we're going to stick with the AEW situation, just because WWE apparently is out of that's not going to happen.
Yeah, but AEW doesn't want it either. That wasn't AEW that wanted to make that match. It was a company out of Israel.
Oh, okay.
It was just a random.
But if you're going to stay on that side of it, I was going to say you got for seasoned wrestlers, you got Jericho, you got Sting. I don't want to see Flair and Sting. That's going to be the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life.
But I'd like to see Darby and Sting against like Flair and whoever.
like Flair and MJF.
Yeah, that would be great. I would totally be down for that.
Yeah.
Against Flair and Andrade. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would watch
Yeah.
that tag team match. It would interest me. You know, Sting's another guy. Like I don't want to see. I love how AEW's handled Sting so far. I think it's perfect. We get a match once in a blue moon with him. It's a big deal. He's protected. He's still taking some pretty crazy bumps, but it's special when he gets.
And then you have the other side of the coin. You got Chris Jericho, who's in his mid-50s and can still fucking go.
Yeah, I don't give a shit
You know
what
what I mean?
anyone says.
Chris Jericho is not Sting. Chris Jericho is not Ric Flair. Chris Jericho still takes care of himself. Is he a little beefier? Of course he is. It's called
He's
fucking
50.
metabolism.
And he's 50.
Exactly.
Like,
You know? The only time I make fun of that shit is when he's making fun of somebody else.
Yeah.
It's kind of look in the mirror, Chris, kind of thing. But
he likes his vodka, man. He calls them babies. He drinks vodka waters. Read his book. It's awesome.
But the grand picture of things, Jericho is in better shape than your average 55-year-old man.
1000%.
And he can still go out there and put on main event matches.
Do you want to know why, though?
Are we to say that Chris Jericho shouldn't be doing those matches anymore because he's over the age of 40? Fuck you.
You know why people in professional wrestling can go into their 40s and 50s? Because it's a fucking work.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Do I want to see Randy Couture come out of retirement and fight again? Absolutely not. You know, UFC's not a work.
Okay, well, but there we go. Again, I'm off. I don't think I agree with this. It all depends on the context.
Well, if Randy Couture is going to come out of retirement and fight Chuck Liddell again, I'll watch that. They're the same. They're the same skill level.
Because
Bellator does that.
I was first in line to pay fucking almost $100 for Tyson versus Jones last year.
Yeah, I'm fine with that because
because
they're
see
equal.
Tyson versus Fury.
No, my God, no. That's not.
You know
that's
what I
not
mean?
fair. I do want to see Tyson and Jake Paul though.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'll tell you why. Because it's a multi-million-dollar cash grab. They're friends.
Who cares? Give Tyson a payday.
Yeah, but I don't want to see it because it's not. Mike's gonna hold back. Mike's not gonna kill him, and people are gonna pay millions of dollars to watch Jake Paul get murdered in that ring by Mike fucking Tyson, and it's not gonna happen.
But they'll still pay it, and Tyson will get rich. Did you ever see Tyson on their podcast when he's just hammering shrooms the whole time? He's literally sitting there just hammering shrooms the whole time.
Did you hear what his newest drug of choice is?
No, what is it?
He's been smoking the venom from those toxic toads.
Oh, he's so awesome. I love Mike Tyson. He's amazing. He is absolutely amazing. But to get back to your point, yeah, Chris Jericho, he's smart. You know, he did that big long program with MJF, and now he's just kind of picking and choosing his spots. Guess what? Being 50 in wrestling, that's when you know the most. That's when you've learned the most. That's when you give back. And wrestling is a fucking work.
And sorry, but was Ric Flair not doing some really fun stuff in the early 2000s?
Flair was doing some fun stuff in the mid to late 2000s, up until his retirement.
Right up until his retirement. Everything after his retirement, his TNA ship was garbage, and everything he's done since then, whatever. But
yeah,
his right up until that match, his match with Shawn Michaels was fucking good.
Well, Shawn had his working boots on that one,
of course. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, though. That's why
his
Flair
title run wasn't garbage.
No, it was great. But that's why Flair can't fight Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara is not able. First of all,
Shawn Michaels.
No, and this is not an insult on Sammy Guevara at all, because the guy is fucking good, but he's not seasoned enough to carry Ric Flair, because Flair will need to be carried at this point, and Flair would probably tell you that himself.
All right, what about someone like Kenny or Dragon?
I would rather see Dragon than Kenny. I think Kenny might be a little too stiff for Flair. I think Dragon would loosen up a little bit for Flair.
Yeah.
You know, I just think Dragon's the best thing ever. So whatever. I'm just a mark. What do you want from me? But
or one of the Japanese guys. What if he went and fought like Okada?
He would die. It would be awful. Suzuki was just here for 2 months. It would be a nightmare.
Could you imagine Suzuki versus Flair?
But you know what though? I know we're kind of
Because
poking fun here.
They would do like a chop off, right?
And Flair would
And
stand
Flair would
there,
die.
and Flair would stand there and go toe to toe with them. Flair's a tough fucking bastard, man. I know we're kind of poking fun a little bit of the idea of Flair getting in the ring, but you give me a tag match, you give me Flair and Andrade or Flair and MJF against Sting and Darby or Sting and Punk or Sting, you know what I mean? Like, Flair's got to be in there with a guy. Like, I think CM Punk would be a great opponent for him.
Yeah.
I think Punk's perfect because he's not stiff like Dragon and Kenny is, but he's a smart enough worker to take care of Flair.
So to wrap this whole thing up, I guess the question was, should there be an age cap on professional wrestling?
No.
I think the answer is no.
And if there is, then that's not fair to Flair. Had to Bobby Heenan. I had to.
All right, man. That's all I have this week. Do you have anything quick before we jump into that list of yours?
I don't. I'm excited to get in the list this week. And I want to get into it, man. Top 7 one night tournaments of all time. Yeah. Mike's going to take a piss here, so I'll talk a little bit about the vocabulary, maybe getting a beer. I don't know. I'll talk a little bit about my criteria here. It had to happen in one night, and it had to be good because I'm not putting shit on my tournament. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I should have said this at the beginning of the show, and I meant to. I want to, before we get into the list, because we're going to be talking a lot, I want to just put out an apology. I was hoping this was going to be cleared up after 3 weeks, but this is the third week. I want to apologize if the audio on my end is not up to par. I had computer issues that I thought were going to be fixed by this week, so I've been doing the show off my cell phone. So I don't have the microphone and headphones that I usually use. So this is not a normal thing. If you're listening to the show going, "Oh, Mike sounds like shit again," it will be fixed soon, I promise.
See, normally you just say shit. Now you sound like shit. Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, man? You ready to get into this list?
Yeah, because I have absolutely no idea what you're going to be talking about this week. Congratulations. I can already tell you that I can't disagree with your list this week because I don't know anything.
I was nervous about this list, so I reached out to a friend of the show, Mr. Adam Content, and I was like, man, I'm stressing. These are what I've got in mind. What do you think? He said I did a good job, and I respect Adam's opinion a lot. So I hope that I got this. But this is one I did not mention to him. My number 7. I'm starting off with a real deep cut. Okay. And I'm starting off with something. This is a homer pick. All right. And this is something that Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling would be proud of. I'm starting off with the Frank Tunney Memorial Tournament.
Okay.
This was a tag team tournament. It happened.
What's the promotion? Is it Maple Leaf Wrestling?
WWF.
Oh, WWF did it. Okay.
This happened 2 or 3 weeks before WrestleMania 3. This was a really big show in Toronto. It was in the memory of Frank Tunney, who had passed away.
At the Gardens?
At the Gardens. I'm going to read you the first round matches here. The Killer Bees versus Kamala and Sika. King Kong Bundy and Paul Orndorff, who are in the Heenan family, against Don Morocco and Bob Orton. Demolition against the British Bulldogs. And the Can-Am Connection against Dan Spivey and some guy with the last name Allen. I don't know who he is.
Not bad news?
No, it wasn't bad news. Really cool stuff here. I really like the match. I watched this whole tournament. Bundy and Orndorff against Morocco and Orton. It was so fun because they were all heels at the time. So you got
Go ahead.
I was going to say, you got to see Bundy and Orndorff work as faces, which was really fun. It was really, really fun.
When we release this episode, can you please put in the YouTube links or wherever you found these?
Yeah, so this was hard to find. This is hard to find because there's not like a complete video of it. You just have to
Is this
Google.
on the WWE Network?
I don't think so. I found all the individual matches on YouTube. I had to really search hard for this one. Your semifinals are the Killer Bees against Bundy and Orton and Demolition against the Can-Am Connection. Mm-hmm. And you're going to get a finals of the Killer Bees versus Demolition with the Killer Bees going over in the tournament.
Yes, my boys.
Yeah, this is
the most underrated team in the world.
So this is a bit of a homer pick for me because I love Maple Leaf Gardens and I love tag team wrestling. And I got
the Bees.
And the Killer Bees were fantastic. This was a fun tournament. Is it the best?
Man.
Is it the best wrestling in the world? No. Are there better tournaments
you need to
out
tell
there?
me where to find this. I need to watch this. I'm excited to watch this.
It's all on YouTube. You got to do a little bit of work to find it, though.
Okay.
You got to do a little bit of work.
It's the Frank Tunney Memorial, and this is what do you say? 1988,
87. This
87.
was 3 weeks or 2 weeks before WrestleMania 3.
Okay.
So there was a lot of buzz in the air going on. You got Hogan and Andre getting ready to go.
Is this the year? When did Frank die?
I'm not too sure off the top of my head, but this is still when Maple Leaf Gardens was being run regularly. It was a hot spot.
And was Jack president yet?
I believe so. Yeah, Jack was president at this point. So I started off
wonderful, man.
Real deep cut there.
Yeah.
Number 6, there were also a lot of deep cuts, but not a deep cut tournament. Just deep cuts because it was fucking violent. And I'm going with the 1995 Kawasaka Deathmatch Tournament, famous for the finals, Cactus Jack versus Terry Funk in a no ropes exploding barbed wire death match.
Right.
I put this match on my list because that happened in 1995, I believe. And you've disappeared, by the way, for our YouTube listeners. You're gone. There we go. I actually kind of preferred it the other way, but I put this on my list because of the legacy that it holds. I really believe that this tournament solidified Mick Foley as a hardcore icon. Is it the prettiest tournament on the planet? No, but if you take a look at the names in the tournament as well, right? You've got Tiger Jeet Singh, Terry Funk, Leatherface, Cactus Jack, Terry Gordy.
Yeah,
right?
I have seen the whole tournament. And I love every moment of it. It's one of the reasons I got into deathmatch wrestling, thanks to Danny.
You're gone again. Also,
can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you. But that's okay because whatever.
I'll fix it.
I'll keep talking here. The matches aren't long. Terry Gordy was kind of a shell of himself at this point. But that finals between Terry Funk and Cactus Jack, it's the most beautiful form of violence on the planet. The blood of Foley, the burns, like I said, I think this solidified Mick Foley as being like a legit, real deal badass. And I think this is huge for his legacy. This event drew a huge house. They drew almost 30,000 people to this event, which is impressive on its own, because these guys weren't a promotion. They didn't have TV. You know what I mean? This wasn't FMW. This was a whole different company. So to draw 30,000 people just off a name, I'm pretty sure Terry Funk and Terry Gordy were the big draws of the tournament, right? But I just think that the legacy that this carved out and people look at this tournament with a lot of respect and horror still all these years later. It had to make my list.
Great. You got me, man.
Well, as you're still disappeared on the screen here, I am going to move on to the number 5. I can't see you. You're gone.
Okay.
But number 5, I'm going to take us back to the year 1998, and I want to go to the Survivor Series pay-per-view. It's a deadly game, my friend.
I love that this is on your list. Too many people shit on this.
This was such a well-booked tournament. It's so smart the way that they did it. Leading into this event, the title was vacated. It goes all the way back to the breakdown pay-per-view in Hamilton, where Steve Austin was defending against Kane and The Undertaker, a triple threat match. Both Kane and Taker pinned Austin at the same time, led to a match between Kane and Taker at Judgment Day for the vacated title, which Austin counted both guys out. So we got a tournament instead, right? Kane and Taker get a bye into the second round. I love that Mankind was the corporate choice all the way through, and it was so smart by the booking, right? You got Mankind against a mystery opponent in the first round, which ended up being Dwayne Gill. So Foley got an easy win there. Then he had to fight Al Snow in the next round, whatever, right? And then he got the task with Steve Austin, where Shane McMahon did that great 1, 2. Fuck you, Steve. What a great turn for Shane McMahon there. They got Austin out of the tournament. But then if you look at the Rock's quest on the way there, first round match, he fought the big boss man, and he beat him in 4 seconds with a roll up. Mike's back. What a treat. He beats him in like 9 seconds with a roll up. So the Rock's fresh there. Then he gets the boss man accidentally helps the Rock win the match with Ken Shamrock in the next round by throwing the nightstick over Shamrock's head because Shamrock was in the corporation. And then the Rock gets by the Undertaker, and you got the Mankind Rock finals. But it was all a swerve, and Vince turned the Rock heel, and he was corporate Rock here. I just thought this is one of the best book tournaments that the WWF has ever done.
Yeah, and we just talked a few weeks ago about how to revitalize that stale Survivor Series concept, and I believe they did that in '98.
Yeah, I mean, this tournament holds up. I didn't like the screw job finish, but it made sense. You know what I mean? I always thought WWF goes to the screw job a little too often, but it makes sense. It made sense here. 1 year after, I get it. What a great way to turn the Rock heel. And then him and Austin were off to the races for WrestleMania that year.
Absolutely.
Going for another deep cut for the next one here. So where are we at? Number 5 here? Number 5, I'm going to take us back to the year 2004, 3 or 4. I can't remember. And it is the American X Cup presented by TNA Wrestling.
Yes.
So this format was a little bit different. It was a little bit different, and it's a loophole because I know they recorded it over a few weeks, but they aired it as one pay-per-view. It was aired as one pay-per-view and presented as a one pay-per-view. You had Team TNA Wrestling, which was Chris Sabin, Sanjay Dutt, Jerry Lynn, and Elix Skipper against Team AAA.
GCW Independent Wrestling Hall of Famer, Jerry Lynn.
That is correct. Against Team AAA, Juventud Guerrera, Hector Garza, Mr. Aguila, who was S.A. Rios, and Abismo Negro. So this was more of like a round robin style tournament. First round matches include Juvi versus Sabin, Hector versus Sanjay, Jerry Lynn versus Aguila, and Abismo against Skipper. But then they went ahead and did tag team matches after. So it was like a point system, right? You get a point for the wins. They had the tag matches, and then the finals was a 4-on-4 match. And if you've never seen this match, it is 22 minutes of the best action that you will ever see. These guys really hit a home run here. This tournament deserves a lot of praise, and a lot of people forgot about it. But this tournament is on my list. It's fantastic. Do you remember this tournament?
I'd have to go rewatch it, but I do remember watching it back in the day. Mm-hmm. Is this the one that you reach out to Adam and be like, do you think this counts?
Yes. Yeah. I had to ask Adam. I'm like, does this count? This counts as a tournament, right? Go back at least and just watch this match. This tournament is on my list 100% because of the 4-way match is so good. Like the 8-man tag is so good. That's the main reason I wanted to put on my list. Moving on to number 3, we're going all the way back to 1986. We're going to be talking about the Crockett Cup. It is the only Crockett Cup tournament that happened in one night. Therefore, it is.
Because I was going to say, I'm not familiar with the Crockett Cup being in one night, so I was surprised.
So this is a little bit of a cheat code because they did 2 shows in one day to do this tournament.
But it was in your criteria was one night, right?
Absolutely. Some of the teams that are involved in this one here, Wahoo McDaniel and Jay Youngblood. You had the Fabulous Ones, the Fantastics, the Midnight Express, the Road Warriors, the Sheep Herders, the Guerrero family had a team in there. You had the Russians, Manny Fernandez.
The tag teams in the NWA back in that era were insane. One of the greatest eras of tag team wrestling history.
Rick Steiner and Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer teamed up in this one. You had your finals, which came down to
Rick Steiner and Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer actually had a child.
Oh yeah,
and named it Holden Albright.
I thought you were going to say Mad Dog Connor. Love Mad Dog. Finals come down to Ron Garvin and Magnum TA against the Road Warriors. Road Warriors get the win. This tournament is legendary, but again, I'm a tag team guy, so it might be ranked high for some people's standards, but not for me.
Man, I love the Crockett Cup. I always have. I love it to this day.
Yeah.
The tournaments they've been having over the last few years are still great. But I love tag team tournaments in general. And I'm not nearly the tag team fan that you are, but I love tag team tournaments. They're always so fun. And I love the legacy that the Crockett Cup has kind of passed on, because from there we've of course got the Dusty Classic,
Absolutely.
which is honestly, let's call a spade a spade. It's WWE's version of the Crockett Cup,
1000%.
and there's nothing wrong with that.
You know, and then within the next couple of years, you get that great moment with Magnum coming out of the Crockett Cup with the great stuff. And this is on the WWE Network, by the way. I'd highly recommend it.
Fantastic.
That is going to bring us to the number 2 tournament. Now, normally the number 7 spot is the hardest spot for me to do on every list every week, but not this week. This week, the number 1 spot was my hardest spot to do. I've changed it back and forth. A little note that you guys will never know. I just paused the recording to go take a piss, and I was still going back and forth on it in my head as I'm doing it. But I'm sticking with what I came into the show with. My number 2 tournament is the 1993 King of the Ring.
Wow, what the fuck is your number 1?
It's wild.
Okay, because I'm gonna tell you straight out. The only tournament, when you said it was a one-night tournament, the only tournament that came to my mind was 93 King of the Ring.
It's the best.
And
otherwise,
because
I
love it so much, there's no way in my mind it could not be number 1. I'm very, very. The only two tournaments I knew for a fact were going to be on this list were this and the '98 Survivor Series.
Yeah.
So for this not to be your number 1, I want to hear you talk about it right now, but I'm really wondering what your number 1 is and how you're going to justify it being better than this tournament, because this is one of my favorite tournaments in history.
This is one of my favorite pay-per-views of all time.
Yes.
I love this whole pay-per-view. Right from everything from the commentary, Jim Ross. I thought Jim Ross, Macho Man, and Bobby Heenan is one of the best WWF commentary teams of all time.
Yeah.
You know, they did WrestleMania 9 together. They did this pay-per-view together. I wish we could have saw them a lot longer.
You could just smell the cocaine off that pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah. 100%. This tournament, I believe they should just rename it the Bret Hart Show. I think this is one of Bret Hart's finest nights in professional wrestling.
This show was built to get Bret over, and rightfully so. Bret was on his way up. Bret was on his way to becoming one of the biggest things in the company, and they were going to use this to get him over. Now, with that said, booking aside, booking only gets you so far. They can book you to be a champion. You have to make the fans believe you're a champion. Bret comes out every fucking match and he makes people believe that.
Yeah. 3 different matches with 3 different guys and 3 different styles of matches.
I was gonna say, not only 3 different matches, but 3 different matches. There was no repetitive shit here at all.
Well, and let's talk about who we fought here. We don't really need to talk about a lot of the other tournament. Hacksaw, Bam Bam Bigelow, and Tatanka and Luger, Mr. Perfect and Mr. Hughes. Those matches were whatever. Bret Hart comes out first match, and let's backtrack a little bit too. Bret Hart came into this pay-per-view with a big fucking chip on his shoulder because he was real pissed off that they gave Hogan his spot. Yep. Hogan had the rumor is that Hogan fucked him out of the SummerSlam match. Either way, I don't know the stories on that one, but Bret was fired up and he was ready to show Vince that Vince fucked up. Right? Absolutely. First match in, Razor Ramon, big, tough, brawling style. You know what I mean? Wrestling, brawling.
And he was coming up in his own right at this point too. You and I discussed Razor last week as being in my Survivor Series show, as being probably the most over wrestler, maybe second only to Bret in 1994. So here we are in 1993, and he wasn't quite at that 94 echelon yet, but he was fucking getting there.
Also, second match that year that they had on pay-per-view, they also fought at the Royal Rumble together that year.
Bret was one of Razor's best opponents.
1,000%. Bret got the best out of both the outsiders, Hall and Nash.
Oh, absolutely. Razor always had great matches with guys like Shawn Michaels, and that goes down. Everybody knows that, but I think it's forgotten that he always had phenomenal matches with Bret.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially 93 Bret. I don't think there's a better wrestler in the world than 93 Bret Hart.
And I don't think there's a better Bret Hart than 93 Bret Hart.
I agree with that 1,000%. Then the second round, Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect.
I don't care how many times we get this match. I don't care where it is. Is it SummerSlam? Is it King of the Ring? Is it Maple Leaf Gardens off television? Is it Barry Wrestling in 2001? And even though Perfect's been dead for years, I don't care. It's still going to be. I'll watch that match over and over and over and over and over again. That's the kind of match that's the always fight match. That's Ciampa and Gargano.
Yeah, fight forever.
Fight forever. This to me is that.
I agree.
Can watch Bret and Perfect don't know how to put on a bad match together.
And it's funny because you hear, interviews with Bret saying that the matches they had on TV and pay-per-view were not even close to their best matches, which is nuts, right? This to me, by the way, is much better than their SummerSlam match. I think this is the best match they ever put on TV.
I have to go and compare them, but I'm definitely not ready to say you're wrong.
When we did our King of the Ring, I did a King of the Ring list last year or a year and a half ago when it was the top 7 non-tournament matches. This is my number one by far. I love this match. The pre-match promo, whose dad is tougher, I thought was great. I owe you one from SummerSlam. I love how they threw back on that from a year before that. This was perfect. Perfect was just in fine form here at a time when he needed to be in fine form because, he was in a weird period at this point. I love that we're
talking about Razor coming up as one of the most over guys in the company. Perfect is kind of leaving that position at this point. He was one of the most over heels in the company. He was that most trusted heel in the company. Had they ever put the rub on him to be a face, he probably would have been the most over face in the company for sure. I guarantee.
They never really gave him that push up they should have.
They didn't. I think they tried during that 2000 era deal, but it's too little, too late by then. So this is the opposite of Scott Hall. Scott Hall's coming up. Mr. Perfect's kind of on his way out at this point, but that doesn't mean his in-ring ability is any less.
Yeah, and then you get to the finals. Bam Bam Bigelow, who's like right in the middle there. He's just one of the the gatekeeper heel of the company.
Bam Bam is still over as fuck.
Great, he is the gatekeeper heel of the company. He wasn't the main event guy, but he's the guy you got to get through to get to the main event.
Exactly.
And great match. This was the Bret Hart
show. And he showed that he could go toe to toe. He wasn't just a big man. He could go toe to toe with probably the best ring general they had at the time in Bret Hart. And Bret Hart showed that he could go against big men in a era of professional wrestling where it was still very much the big man rule. Guys like Bret, Shawn, and Razor and Henning, they're working their asses off to prove that you don't need to be 7 foot. You don't need to weigh 300 pounds. You can still be the best and be 6'2", 200 pounds.
They're getting ready to usher in that new generation, baby.
Exactly. And he proved that this evening, not only by going up against two guys his same size, but then he goes up against let's arguably say one of the best big men in the world, especially in this era, if not of all time. And they put on a hell of a match.
1,000% they did. Bret went over, shot the great angle with Jerry Lawler off to the races with another great feud.
100%.
This was hard not to put as my number one.
What the fuck is better than this, Tyler?
I'm taking us to 1994 for my number one.
Was that in one night?
I'm taking us to April the 16th in Sumo Hall, Tokyo, Japan. And we're talking about the Super J Cup 1994.
Wow.
The inaugural Super J Cup. Have you ever seen this tournament?
I think so. I am 90% sure I have. You still need to walk me through it because if I have, it's been a long fucking time.
So this is the first ever Super J Cup tournament. This is Jushin Liger's
Did
brainchild.
Liger win this?
Liger did not win this.
Okay.
This guy named Wild Pegasus won this tournament. Some Canadian guy.
Holy fuck. Okay. Here we
I want to
go.
run through some of the names here. First round matches include Black Tiger, who is Eddie Guerrero, against Taka Michinoku. Gato against Dean Malenko.
This is a young Gato, too.
Very young Gato. You had Ricky Fuji in this tournament. Another first round match, Hayabusa against Jushin Thunder Liger.
Okay, great.
El Samurai, who's another amazingly underrated cruiserweight in this tournament. Second round matches, you get Wild Pegasus, who got a bye in the first round, facing Eddie Guerrero, Black Tiger, so Benoit and Guerrero.
Okay, I've seen that match. I'm not sure if I've seen the whole tournament, but I've seen that match.
You get Ricky Fuji and Jushin Liger. You get El Samurai and the Great Sasuke.
Can we talk about that for 10 seconds?
Yeah.
I love Fuji.
He's so good.
I love Ricky Fuji.
Yeah. Semifinals, we're getting Wild Pegasus against Gato and Jushin Thunder Liger against the Great Sasuke.
Okay.
And then our finals, we get Pegasus and Sasuke. 18 minutes of just some of the finest wrestling you'll ever see.
Liger puts Sasuke over, eh?
Yeah, they were really giving Sasuke a run in 94 here. But apparently he was kind of a dickhead in real life and got full of himself. But that's the rumors I heard. But this tournament, from an in-ring standpoint, from top to bottom, it's one of the finest things that wrestling can do. You know, you're taking the best cruiserweights in the world in 1994 in the Sumo Hall in Tokyo, Japan, and you're letting them go. And you know, it was really hard. It was really hard to leave the 95 version of this tournament off my list as well.
I don't remember who was booking back then, but this was all Liger's thing, though, wasn't it?
This was Liger's baby, for sure. The second 95, so New Japan put on the first tournament, and 95, the War promotion put on the second tournament.
Who would have been booking in 94? Was Inoki still?
Yeah, it was Inoki.
It was still Inoki, eh?
Yeah. So that's my number one. If you have not watched this match in a long time, go back and watch the finals.
I'll have to go watch the whole tournament. The only match I know for a fact I've seen from that is Benoit Guerrero. You
got to watch the finals for sure. The finals is, it is so good. It is so good.
And I think I've seen the Liger Sasuke match.
Yeah, and that's really, really good as well. The 95 version of the tournament, I had it on my list originally, but I pulled it off for a couple of the deep cuts.
Are all the Super J Cups one night?
Not all of them. The first two for sure were. You know, and the second year you're getting Damien 666. The second year had a lot of luchadors in it as well, right? So you're getting Damien 666 in it, Ultimo Dragon, Gato back again, Dos Carreras, who was really good, Samurai back again, Chris Jericho was in that tournament, Jushin Liger.
Chris Jericho, or was he still?
He was Lionheart. He was Lionheart.
Like under the mask?
No mask.
No mask.
Him and Benoit had like listen to the semifinals of this. The quarterfinals were Pegasus and Lionheart. And then the semifinals were Liger and Dragon and Gato and Pegasus. And then the finals were Liger going over Gato. That tournament almost made my list. It just missed out.
All right. Yeah, you win. If any tournament can beat out that King of the Ring tournament, it's going to be this one. Yeah.
Flip a coin. You know what I mean? It's just great wrestling all around. I don't think 100%. There's a winner or loser there, right? I've got a few honorable mentions.
I want this to come back as a thing, and not just from the indie. And in my honorable mentions, I'm going to talk about some indie stuff that you've never seen. But I want this to come back as a mainstream thing, not just a little indie thing. These one night tournaments, that needs to be a thing again.
Yeah, me too.
WWE could easily do a King of the Ring in one night.
They've done a couple.
No, again though, like for real, a good one.
Yeah.
And or they could do the Cruiserweight Classic. Could have been one of the best one night tournaments in history.
It is one of the best tournaments in history.
100%.
They really got a home run there.
I mean, I'm putting Tyson Dukes over in the first round.
Obviously, I'd probably have him win the whole fucking thing. I'll tell you my honorable mentions because I know where you want to go with your honorable mentions. So I'll just bang off mine really quick. Obviously, WrestleMania 4, just for the run of the Macho Man. What do I got? King of the Ring 94 is on my list.
Come to think of it, I'm surprised that's not on your list.
Well, one King of the Ring 94?
No, WrestleMania.
The reason why it's not on my list is because every match that I put on my list, with the exception of the Frank Tunney tournament, had a match that was like a standout match, or that was like a well-booked tournament.
I mean, DiBiase Macho was not a fucking snooze fest.
It wasn't a snooze fest, but it wasn't like a holy fuck, I need to go out of my way to see this match.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I could have put it. It was in my number 7 spot. It wasn't in my number 7 spot. It was in a 3-way tie for my number 7 spot.
Okay.
King of the Ring 94. You know, Owen Hart wins the tournament. That was a fun one. The Wrestling Classic pay-per-view was in consideration, especially for that Dynamite Kid and Macho Man match. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
WCW did a Pat O'Connor Memorial International Tag Team Tournament, which I put some thought into, but I went with the Tunney one instead. Any of the ECWA Super 8 tournaments I looked into, which when I was researching them, did you know that our boy Rory Fox was in one of them?
I had no idea.
Neither did I. And he was on the same one that our other boy Tyson Dukes was on. So I got to ask Rory about that.
They didn't face each other, did they?
They did not, but I got to ask him about that. The one that I really had the hardest time leaving off the list, and Adam's going to yell at me for it, is the 2021 Super X Cup.
Yeah,
Ace Austin and Blake Christian.
I watched it.
It was good, but I like the Tunney one. I'm a tag team guy.
Yeah.
But that's my honorable mentions.
I'm down with you. I got a few to throw out, and only because when I knew you were doing this, I thought about how the only one-night tournaments you see these days, honestly, are these deathmatch tournaments. Those are the only companies that have fun and throw out one-night tournaments. So I just threw a small list together, and I know you're not going to watch them. This is not for you. This is for our listeners. This is just some of my favorite deathmatch tournaments over the years, because they're all in one night. You got GCW's Nick Gage Invitational 6 that just happened a few weeks ago. I'd say it's the best of the 6 so far. It was phenomenal. And then GCW's Nick Gage Invitational 1 is just, you got to watch it. CZW had their yearly tournament of death.
Mm-hmm.
I would put 4, 2, and 8 on my list. 8 being the must fucking watch. Little company called IWA has 2 on my list that is worth watching. One is called Deep South Carnage Cup 06. One is called the Masters of Pain 08. And then back to GCW for 3 shows. Their tournament of survival that they do every year. I would put 1, 5, and 666, which was this year's show, on my list.
I know everything you just talked about there. I know wrestling. I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, that's why I love the dynamic of this show, though. This is what's so good about it, is that what I don't know, you know, what you don't watch.
I know we have a few listeners out there that might be like, maybe if they don't watch a lot of deathmatch wrestling, to be enough to want to watch this stuff. Or I know that there's a couple deathmatch fans out there that listen to the show. I know that for a fact, that might say, what the fuck is IWA? I've never heard of that. And they might go jump this IWA show. That's why I wanted to pick that.
IWA, is that Ian Rotten's promotion?
I think so.
He killed wrestling for a long time. And I know. Yeah, he did bad Ian Rotten.
But both these tournaments were really good.
That's fair. And I will put you on the spot
really good from a deathmatch standpoint.
Fair. And I'm gonna put you on the spot too, as we get closer to GCW's Hammerstein Ballroom show. Little spoiler: we're going to be talking to the commentator of that show, Lenny Leonard, closer to the event. But I want you to put a list together. Top 7. I don't know. Top 7 GCW something.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm down. And I'll throw it out right now. I don't want you to feel lonely and scared when I'm doing GCW. I've been working on the best GCW matches of 2021. Not matches, pay-per-views. The best pay-per-views of 2021, because GCW puts out 50 pay-per-views a year.
They do.
So this is an actual list to be made. I'm going to bring on a listener that's never been on the show, a guy I've never met in person. I only know him because he's good friends with friends of the show, Danny Franchise and Adam Content.
Boo, Danny, friend. Boo, Danny.
But I know he's a massive wrestling fan. He was there at Chinwalk last year repping a Wrestlemania t-shirt, so I know he's good people. I'm going to bring on avid listener Andrew Walsh, no relation, to the show in a couple weeks. Let's say shortly after the new year.
I feel like we talked to Andrew on one of our live shows before.
That's very possible. It is possible.
If it's the guy I'm thinking of, great dude.
But yeah, I'm gonna bring. I've been wanting to talk to Andrew. Andrew texted me, I want to say 2-3 weeks ago, to flat out say, listen, if you ever do a GCW show or an Ontario indie show, please bring me on. Well, here you go, Andrew. I haven't even told him that we're doing this yet. This is how he's finding out. You're going to come on the show in early January. We're going to talk some GCW. And then
that's how we're going to find out if he listens to our show.
Exactly.
Andrew, if you want on the show, you better text Mike after hearing this.
And one day we'll bring you on for an Ontario Indie show because we do a lot of talking about that too. It was Andrew who texted me. He was sitting at the last C4 show. And he texted me saying, dude, as soon as this show drops on IWTV, you need to watch it. Davey Richards versus Junior Benito is match of the year.
Well, I want to see. I need to see that match. So, and you said the word drop here. Lucy the cat just dropped a deuce behind me. That's how we roll.
That's our cue to go home.
I think that's our cue to go home. Do you know do we know what you're doing next week yet?
No.
No, we'll figure it out.
No.
That's how we roll. Count it out.
That's how we roll.
It's a miracle we put a show out
probably
every
won't
week.
know Sunday night.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, check out www.countout7.com. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. I'm really happy with our YouTube numbers. So thank you to everybody that subscribed.
YouTube's really doing good stuff for us right now. Thank you so much, guys.
Listen to the Good Friends, Better Enemies podcast. Classic Match Classroom is on a bit of hiatus right now. We will be coming back soon.
Now, I know nobody's hearing this right now because it's Tyler's list, but I want to thank everybody. Last week's numbers rocketed in the first 2 days because it was my list, so I get it. But next week I'm back. I have a list next week, no matter what it is. So we'll be doing good numbers. Fantastic.
I think people just listen to your list more because they like hearing me belittle you as a person.
There is validity to that argument. There really is.
I feel like my lists are always so perfect.
They're like, oh, it's Mike's week. There's gonna be an argument.
Yeah, because my lists are perfect every week, and it's kind of getting boring, I guess. So, and you fuck them up all the time, and I gotta tune into Showtime with Mike and Tyler as well. We're having fun booking that.
Oh yeah.
We've recorded. I don't know. We're coming to Christmas time, so what we do every year at Christmas time is record a bunch of shit so I can take 3 weeks off and take a vacation. I don't know where we are on that now, and I've been drinking heavily. So
and check out Good Friends, Better Enemies because Tyrone's back again.
Back. Yeah, and Jay does a great job. Jay's fantastic as well. Blah blah blah.
Hey, tell him Jay.
Blah blah blah. Barry Wrestling. Blah blah blah. Count it out. Blah blah blah. Subscribe. Take us home.
Countout7.com.
Take us home.
Countout7. You yada 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 over the best part.
I mentioned the lobster. Tell them about that. What's that Facebook page before you take us home? Seinfeld Wrestling?
Seinfeld Wrestling Posts. It's a Facebook page. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's great.
Very good.
All right. Take us home.
Right.
On behalf of, can I do the on behalf this week?
You may. Yeah.
On behalf of Barry Wrestling and Jesse V representing countout7.com in the finals, on behalf of Countout7, and on behalf of Jerry Seinfeld and the rest of the crew,
we've been counted out.
Cheers.
Hey Wrestling World, check out my friends at CanadaOut7.com. Wrestling podcasts, news, and a lot of awesome content. Even got all the All-Ontario Cup event setters. Also follow them on Twitter at CountedOut7. Also on Instagram at CountedOut7. CountedOut7.com with Mike and Tyler.